guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Haley and today I'm super excited because I'm going to be sharing 16 books to add to your summer reading list. This video is extra exciting because a lot of these books that I'm going to talk about today are some of my all-time favorites. They just so happen to be absolutely perfect for the summer season. So I can't wait to tell you guys all about my summer reading recommendations, but before I do, make sure that you guys subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it, and without further ado, let's hop into today's video. A portion of today's video is sponsored by Book of the Month, which I am so stoked about because I had actually signed up for my first ever Book of the Month last month before they even reached out to me, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the book that I chose, so I just know that you guys are going to love this as much as I do. Before I tell you all about their amazing subscription box service, they just came out with the new podcast, Virtual Book Tour, which is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I am really big on podcasts, especially like when I'm getting ready for the day. I love to do my makeup to a podcast, so this was super duper exciting. The Virtual Book Tour podcast is actually hosted by two members of the Book of the Month editorial team, and what's really cool about it is it's actually hosted live in front of an audience. In the podcast, they interview and kind of get into the minds of some of our favorite writers that they also feature in the subscription boxes. So it's really cool. It's a cool way to get to know those authors a little bit better. As for the subscription box, I'm going to show you guys the two books that I picked up for the month of July. Book of the Month is a really fun way to discover new books that you probably normally wouldn't pick out or come across, which is why I really wanted to include it in this video specifically, because if you're kind of stumped on what to read next this summer, Book of the Month is an amazing option to kind of find some new books as well as various genres. So no matter what you're into, you will find something you love on Book of the Month. And if for some reason you don't, you can always skip a box without any fees. You can also add on multiple books to your box subscription, which is really cool. So you don't even have to stick with just one. I ended up getting two this month. The first one is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, and I love this cover. So gorgeous. This is supposed to be like the perfect summer rom-com, so I'm really excited to read this one. The next book I picked up is You're Invited, which, by the way, you guys, I want to point out that each book that you get in Book of the Month is a hardcover copy. On the back of the book, it has the month and year that the book was featured, so I think that's really cute. This month there were 5 total books to choose from. The other 3 books were Upgrade by Blake Couch, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and Firstborn by Will Dean. So if you guys were interested in checking out Book of the Month and reading any of these books that I mentioned today, I'm going to leave a link for you guys to sign up down below, and you can also use the coupon code SUNNY to get your first subscription box for $9.99. So be sure to check it out. Now getting into my summer book recommendations. If you decide to pick up any of these books this summer, I really hope that it is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I fell in love with this book, you guys. This was just such a sweet summer love story. It is the perfect book to toss in your beach bag. This is one of those books that shares the past and present point of views, which are always some of my favorite. In this story, you see how their love comes together and also how it falls apart. This book is just absolutely beautiful, and I think it's the perfect summer read. Every Summer After is actually extremely similar to my other recommendation, which is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. These books have a lot of similarities in the setting and the storyline. Both of these books are absolutely amazing. I don't really favor one or the other. I love them both so dearly. Both of these just kind of give me like that childhood nostalgia of like your first crush, and I love both of these so much. The next book that I want to mention is, of course, Malibu Rising. Even just like the cover art is just like the perfect summer vibe. The setting is, of course, in Malibu in 1983, and the main characters are a bunch of siblings and they all enjoy the hobby surfing. I absolutely adored this book, and it just totally sucks you in. This is one that for me, when I picked it up, I couldn't put it down. It's so good. Okay, bringing you guys a little YA. This one I feel like is best for like middle school to high school, although, you know, I read it as a 26-year-old, so. This one in particular, it doesn't have any sort of spice to it. It's very PG. It takes place at a summer wedding, so it's kind of like the week leading up to the wedding. And all the family and friends that go to Martha's Vineyard play this game, Assassin. The main character ends up forming an alliance with one of the cute groomsmen and of course ends up falling for him, and it just turns into a very sweet little summer read. Like I said, this one's definitely more on the YA side. It feels like very innocent. This is another book with a super adorable cover too. It's so pretty. And I, of course, would be remiss if I didn't mention Queen of Summer, Emily Henry. I have 3 of her books here, and you guys, they're all just good summer reads, so I had to mention all of them. Personally, if you had to choose one out of the 3, I would say beach read. Not only for being the actual perfect beach read, but this is my all-time favorite of hers. It is the best. In this book, there are 2 writers that end up neighboring each other in summer beach houses. They actually had known each other previously from school, but they never really talked. They were kind of like, it's kind of like an enemies to lovers thing. But in their little beach houses, they're both separately trying to write new books. So they decide to make a bet and they end up switching genres. So the boy Augustus, love of my life, he ends up trying to write a romance novel, while January, the girl main character, tries to write something a little bit dark without a happy ending. Anyways, it is just the cutest book ever. I absolutely fell in love with the characters, and I think that you guys will too. And although I know a lot of people have probably already read Beach Read, as well as people we meet on vacation and maybe even book lovers, although this one is newer, I gotta talk about them anyways because they are the perfect summer book. People We Meet on Vacation is amazing. It covers like a bunch of different vacations that Poppy and her best friend go on over the years. It's one of those books where they end up having a falling out, and in each chapter it kind of shares what led up to that falling out, which I really love. So another past and present point of view. I just love it so much. This is a very, very sweet book as well. And book lovers, I actually had just read this book last month, talked about it in my June reading wrap up, and I love this one. This is another 5-star read for me. This is another like enemies to lovers trope. Setting is summertime in this tiny little town. Coincidentally, the 2 rivals end up bumping into each other multiple times in this little tiny small town. So they end up hanging out more and working together, and I'm sure you can imagine how this book ends. It is so, so cute. So as I was putting together my favorite summer books, I obviously realized that it is extremely romance heavy, so I wanted to throw in another sort of genre in here for you guys to check out. So I decided on Verity by Colleen Hoover. This is such a good like mystery thriller novel. This book doesn't necessarily scream summertime read, but it is a really, really good book and something that you should definitely add to your reading list. Next book I have is another more YA novel. This one is probably best for like high school age, although again, I read it last month. There's definitely portions of this book that are very juvenile. I kind of love like that cheesy side, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. So fair warning if you're not into the cheese. But this book is 99 Days, One Summer, Two Brothers, An Impossible Choice. You know, I hate to admit it, but I do love the books where they're like choosing between one of 2 brothers. I don't know why, I'm a sucker for it. This book takes place over one summer. The main character had left town the previous year and she's back for the summer. Like I said, it's a little corny, it's a little juvenile, but it is an easy summer read. Next book that I have is the perfect rom-com. The duo in this book is absolutely hilarious. I'm in love with them, but this is The Flatshare by Beth O'Leary, and these 2 end up having the weirdest living situation where they're sharing an apartment but they never actually see each other. So one of the characters is there just during the daytime and the other is just there during the nighttime and weekends. The only way they're really in contact with each other is through little notes that they leave in the apartment. This is one of my favorite love stories. It's a little unconventional, it's definitely quirky. The characters, they are so funny. I push this book onto everyone I know, and so if you haven't read this one yet, please, please, please add it to your list because it is absolutely adorable. Next up, I have the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, and I haven't read these 2 yet, just FYI. And the first time that I read The Summer I Turned Pretty was actually, I think, sophomore year of high school, and I loved this book at the time. I had actually reread it last month just so that I could watch the series, which, by the way, the series totally different from the book, but I like both of them. because I know with the new series out, people have different expectations for this book, and I just want to reiterate that this is a true YA. This book is like kind of geared towards middle school to high school, although you can read it at any age, but just keep in mind that this is another cheesy, immature book. It's very innocent, very PG. So to the people that have not read The Summer I Turned Pretty and are just now hearing about it with the new series out, just keep that in mind. It is like a very YA sort of romance, but it is a very, very cute book nonetheless, and of course the perfect summer read. So I'm excited to read the other two from the trilogy. We'll always have summer, and it's not summer without you. The next book I have is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This one I actually just finished this month, and I was like, okay, I need to include this. The setting of this book is actually in January, but they do end up going to Hawaii, so it does kind of give you like that summer sort of feel. This is another super adorable enemies to lovers rom-com, and this book is truly hilarious. This book is about two rivals that end up having to go on a free honeymoon vacation together. So I'm sure you can just imagine the chaos and antics that ensue. It's a super easy read. It's really, really cute. And the last book that I wanted to mention for my summer reading recommendations is Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Again, this one doesn't necessarily scream summer, but it's something if you haven't read, I highly recommend checking it out, adding it to your list. This book is another sort of romance novel, but not the same kind that I've previously mentioned. This one actually has a lot of heartbreak. It's a lot heavier than the other books. If you're looking for something lighthearted and easy, those are perfect. But this story is just a little bit on the heavier side. It is a beautiful, beautiful story, and I really wanted to include it because it is so, so good. But just keep in mind, it is not your typical like summer flowery romance. And that, you guys, are my summer book recommendations. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys are adding any of these books to your summer reading list. Also, don't forget to check out Book of the Month and their new podcast, Virtual Book Tour. All the links from today's video will be down below, so check that out. And I will see you guys later. Bye!